But a resolution just looks to me like somewhere where we can continue on to have these conversations, we can continue on to speak love, and just come from a good place. As long as everybody comes, I mean, the world is set to divide and conquer anyway, isn't it? It's just what it is. It's money, it's greed, it's all these kinds of things. And I think if we bring it back down to the center of it, especially COVID, that made us realize everything. Like, you can have all the money in the world, all the cars in the world, it doesn't make a difference, because when you're sat in your home and you're locked in, that doesn't matter. But being kind and loving towards people, that was the only thing that came prevalent during that time. So I think if we just continue on with that foundation and keep talking and having a conversation, and keeping an awareness of it, then we can make a change, because it starts with the families. And like Abby said, it's, you know, it all starts at home. So if somebody's watching this video now and goes, right, okay, that's, you know, I've taken on board, there's certain things that I'm doing, there's certain things that I'm ignorant to, I want to make a change, that seed that's planted in that family can go on and change so many different people in so many different ways. So I think it's just a case of continually having this conversation, and it might not be something massive, but if it changes one family, it changes 10 families, you know, it's a ripple effect. And I think love can carry that. Love would be the boat that sort of ship sails on. Definitely.
That's brilliant.
I think privilege is that thing that you didn't ask for or didn't work for, or privilege is just something that is just handed to you. And I think, like my friend Adrian, he absolutely amazing, beautiful person. And he was talking to me about some of the situations he's gone through, and I'm like, I wouldn't even have to think about that in my own life. And I think that is privilege. Like the fact that I don't have to think of it is the privilege. We said in our kind of catch up the other day, I'm not apologizing that I'm white. It's just more because I think that gets into another whole realm of stuff that it just pulls out hatred and things like that. But it's more not apologizing for being white, but looking at this systemic white privilege that I've grown up with and kind of going, that's not okay. And I think the more it's revealed, hopefully, the more it will dissipate.
Yeah. So it's rather more a case of owning it rather than getting offended by it.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
And also, Black Lives Matter is a statement, isn't it? And it just so happens that there's an organisation that's called itself Black Lives Matter, and it's all of a sudden behind all this movement. But I think, yes, it's good. It's important that we don't get distracted by kind of the politics of it, as you say, in terms of who the organisation. But actually, there is a deeper issue, and at the end of the day, Black Lives Matter is a statement that that many of what we're trying to do is kind of make people aware that actually it's a statement that we support, and it's a statement that we're raising awareness.
A lot of the medical teaching with regards to, like, for example, something really like skincare, like dermatology, and even with regards to something like, for example, certain types of presentations tend to be about the white male, not even necessarily the white female as well. So and then not even to talk about someone that is from a darker or BAME group, minority ethnic group. So for a lot of the textbooks have focused on a white man presents with certain skin complaints, or if someone maybe looks red, or if someone is blue, how can you tell if they're not really breathing very well? How can you... Well, with regards to these events, I think the media is meant to be neutral, but it isn't. Obviously, they're different sources and things like that. But I think it's just about representation. I think also, if you look at who are the authors, who are the people that may be bringing out this message, who have been able to get both sides of the story, and it's just trying to get things that are balanced. Yes, people are going to the beach, but then people are protesting. I think one of the best things about being British and Britishness is the fact that you can go out and you can protest. Peaceful protests are like the most British ways to say, like, oh my goodness, I'm not happy with this. Even look with the A-level results, there were students on the streets of London protesting, calling our Prime Minister certain names that I can't repeat. And then other people are protesting because they just want better opportunities. It's not saying that I want something that I haven't worked for. It's that, hey, if well, obviously that study was done where they had different applications, like one pile had British names, one pile had foreign names, and exactly the same CVs, but then the ones that had more British names were the ones that got the job. And it's not like, sometimes you can be overqualified for the job, and it's just, I just want the same opportunity as you. And it's
are older. My grandparents are from the war generation, and I've personally had, I've actually disowned my own grandfather because of racism, purely because I think when you become a parent, you're so protective over your child, you will literally do anything that you need to make their world a better place. And for me, not wanting that sort of negative influence, or wanting anyone, I know you can't put them in a bubble, but you try to put them in a bubble as much as possible. So for me, everything about this is all centered towards my little one, and obviously his future, because that's how we act as human beings, don't we? I mean, you know, you can be the most selfless person, but when it comes to your children, you put them up there. So that was the first issue that I had, even before all of the you know, the George Floyd and all the Black Lives Matter movement started. In my experience, it's the term of the elephant in the room, isn't it? People, like, you don't want to throw yourself into a conversation that you're, I think it all boils down to, as I keep going back to, like, you know, just naturally occurring human traits of, you don't want to put yourself into an uncomfortable situation that maybe you're not educated about, you're possibly guilty of, because it probably doesn't make people feel good. People do things to feel good, don't they, typically? And I think I think 9 times out of 10, it's probably that it's uncomfortable, and there's an element of that ignorance. If it doesn't affect me, then I don't want to put myself on the line. That is the interpretation that I get. Ignorance is bliss.
I think the danger lies there, though, is silence is way worse than, because it is then all about you, isn't it? If you're kind of going, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to feel bad, or I don't want this person to think badly of me, and then it's about you then, and it's not about the actual issue at hand. Like if I messaged you and you did think, oh, he's kind of just jumping on the bandwagon, why is he messaging me? It's like, okay, you have the right to think that, and okay, I've been kind of thought of badly for a little bit, but that's got nothing to do. That's got nothing on the current situation. Do you know what I mean?
I guess it's a case then. I guess it's a case of humbling, as in people of the opposite race humbling themselves in regards to, right, okay, like, this might make me feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to humble myself for the group. And also then on the other foot of it is the case of the person that's receiving it, so the Black people in that regard, of being kind of aware. Because I did see somebody, I saw one of a friend of a friend, she was like a proper advocate, she was reposting and this, that and the other, and then somebody of colour commented on it and was like, well, the information you're posting isn't correct, or blah blah blah. And I was like, whoa, like, she's doing something, like, you can't, you know, you've got to learn to pick your battles, do you know what I mean? She's being silent, she's not being compliant, and what she's saying might not be 100% accurate, but at least she's doing something. So I do think, although we've been through a lot, and although we've been oppressed, and why should we, there will be a lot of people that will say, well, why should we have to do anything, because we're, but I think
you shouldn't have to do anything, though.
I think it depends where your centre is. So from a place of love and kindness, like, if you want that for all of humanity, just be nice and kind to people in regards to how they're coming to you and approaching you at the same time. And I think, you know, one of those cliches is love conquers all. And I think if everybody comes from a loving and kind place, and you humble yourself in that, we're going to have a nice conversation like the one we're doing, because each and every one of us are doing that right now.
Yeah, I think it's just about kind of becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think just as humans, we're kind of bad at that anyway. And I think it's just one of those
isn't it? It's a British thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think like even as a parent, like knowing that I really need to deal with my stuff so that I can be the best parent I can, and it's really hard and it's really tough. Like some stuff from my past or some mental stuff or whatever, or even kind of taking criticism on you as a parent of going, you know what, you're not quite doing that right.
Yeah.
Instead of like, because the initial response is to get defensive and kind of go, no, and to put that self-preservation. But just to kind of have, like you said, that humbling of just kind of going, you know what, my boy is bigger than my offense, or my little boy is way more important than if I feel really uncomfortable for the next couple of months while I work through this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, that's fantastic, and that was really the next question. Really, you know, how, and you guys have answered it in the conversations that we've had with friends and families. You know, some have been good conversations, some have been a bit more challenging, and in all of that, we've been able to learn. And you know, the things I've taken out from what you were just discussing on, you know, coming from a place of love and compassion and trying to understand. You know, and again, we won't have the right answers. We, like Tamika says, we all haven't read 5,000 books on racism, you know. But it's accepting that, and you know, it's one step forward every time. And as long as we're going in that right direction, where we are continuing to have these conversations in a loving environment, and again, being comfortable in the uncomfortable. I think that's what you said, Kyle. You know, that's really practical stuff that we can learn and take forward as we continue to have these conversations, whether it is racism or something, you know, another topic.